Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another The Sports Scoop video. This is Key McDermott, Charlie Nidell, Suraj Kadali, and Dylan Shalom. Welcome, guys. It is the end of an era as we are giving you guys our last 2021 NFL mock draft. It's like just a year ago, we were reviewing the 2020 draft. So there will be trades in this draft, as you saw by the title. We have a couple here, and you usually see our mock drafts. We're sharing this one's a fully edited one, so we did work hard on this. So do make sure to subscribe to the channel and click that like button as well. Just before we get into the video, do make sure you guys follow us on social media at The Sports Scoop, Twitter, Instagram. Make sure you go drop follow over there. All of exclusive content, I guess exclusive, not really, but just clips, everything like that. You can as well directly message us over there. And live draft coverage coming to you guys from The Sports Scoop on the draft night, 7:45 p.m. Eastern time, 6:45 p.m. Central time, and 4:45 p.m. Pacific time. So make sure you guys come tune in, get into the live chat, say what's up to us, and we'll have some guests on. And yeah, so
all right, so let's hop straight into the number one overall pick. This is my pick, and I think it's a pretty straightforward pick. I don't think that there is anybody in all of America that's not picking Trevor Lawrence to the Jaguars. I think that the raw potential on this guy, there's not much I need to say about him. Trevor Lawrence to the Jaguars, it's a pretty simple one.
Yeah, now moving on to the second pick, we have the New York Jets. This one is starting to look more and more set in stone. I've always been on this, for a while, been on the Zach Wilson train. I think he possesses the elite arm talent along with the ability to throw on the run. I think he combines that with he's very good on film, can execute that West Coast offense system that will be coming to New York with a quick release time. So I think he's a great fit in New York.
all right, let's get on. I had the 49ers pick. We saw basically recently news to come out that for some reason Justin Fields is no longer in the conversation. Again, I don't know what the truth to that is. And my original pick would be Trey Lance. So that's what I went with here. Trey Lance out of North Dakota. This obviously was a trade from Miami as 49ers traded up to get that 3 spot. I think Trey Lance has the most potential. I've even seen people say he is the most pro ready, which I think is the opposite. But I think this is a good pick. I think he'll sit behind Garoppolo. And this guy if you can build him right, and we've seen what Shanahan can do with quarterbacks, this guy can be incredible. And I think this guy can genuinely be a top 5 quarterback if he is produced well and given weapons for that 49ers offense.
At 4 overall, this is Atlanta in the actual draft, but we actually have this being traded. I traded with myself, the Patriots pick going to the the Falcons pick going to the New England Patriots, and the Patriots taking at pick 4 is going to be Justin Fields. They need a quarterback, and that's what they're going to get. The Ohio State man, fast, he's good under pressure. He can do everything they need, and honestly, they just need to get out of the Cam Newton era and into a new one. I think Justin Fields is the easiest player to get them to do that.
There we go. The draft is officially started right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Justin Fields and Belichick could be really scary. Yeah. But if we move on to pick number 5, this is the Bengals, and this one could be a controversial one, but I actually have Jamar Chase here.
Because protection doesn't matter.
I think that although Joe Burrow, they definitely need to protect him. As we saw last season, he got injured, but he needs weapons as well. And he has Tyler Boyd, who's a great slot receiver, one of the best in the league, in my opinion, and T. Higgins, who right now is just not a number 1 receiver. And thrusting a wide receiver 2 into a wide receiver 1 role with a quarterback that you're trying to develop, I personally don't think that that's the best way to develop your rookie or now second-year quarterback. I think that drafting someone like Jamar Chase just to shore up that receiving core, and then we've seen this is a deep tackle class. They could grab someone like potentially Dylan Radunes if he drops, or Jalen Mayfield or Liam Eisenberg if they are there for that second-round pick. It's a deep tackle class, so that's why I think Jamar Chase is the pick here. Someone with as much talent as he has. I know Sewell has that talent too, but someone with that much talent receiving, I think that Jamar Chase has to go to the Bengals here.
I badly hate
I think it's an interesting pick though, because originally I was on the Sewell train and I still kind of am, but I think you have to think about it in a package pair. You're thinking about you have Jamar Chase and either maybe, I don't know, Liam Eichenberg or Brady Christensen, or you take Penei Sewell or maybe, but then you only have like Elijah Moore It's a tough call. I think it could
Yeah.
go either way. I think Sewell. I would have Sewell, and who I will be having with the Dolphins at number 6, just because of the fact that I feel like they still haven't given to a proper protection enough, well enough yet. I think Sewell is a very good run blocker and great pass blocker, one of the better offensive tackles we've seen in the recent years. I know Kyle Pitts would also be up for consideration here, but I feel like protect Tua. You already have a good tight end in Mike Gesicki. I think Sewell is a comfortable pick for the Dolphins here at 6.
Lions assemble.
Surge, you were underselling Sewell. Sewell isn't a good run blocker. Sewell is one of the best run blockers we've seen. This guy is a monster.
Yeah, I
at
know.
the
Well, I'm
second
saying,
level.
well, yeah.
This
Well,
guy, I mean, I cannot speak highly. This guy's going to be 20 in his first snap. You're getting 15 years out of a tackle. That's why I think the Bengals should have gone with him there. I don't agree. I think T. Higgins, if you put him to that wide receiver 1 role, can be very effective. I think Sewell should have been the pick. But moving on now to the Lions pick. And I went with, I guess, kind of a hot take. I know Dylan loves this. I didn't go Jalen Waddle. I went Devontae Smith out of Alabama, their other wide receiver. I think this guy has fallen since he won Heisman for some reason.
Yeah, he was climbing everyone's board, and then he won the
boards,
Heisman, and
then fell for some reason. And the NFL, and I guess the stigma around him is his size and his frame is just not up to par, which I guess you can see. But this guy is a filthy route runner. I think I've compared him so many times to Devontae Adams, that guy who just uses or runs route with his feet. He can get separation off the line of scrimmage. I think he's going to be very lethal. Somehow Lions wide receivers, at least Rashad Perryman, thinks that Goff has arm talent, so I guess we'll see. But I think Devontae Smith could be a really, really good player. And the reason I don't like Jalen Waddle is I know Jalen Waddle can be a wide receiver 1, but I think Devontae Smith is that more secure one to take. So I like Smith there with the Lions.
I think you're underselling Goff a little bit.
At the 8th pick for the Carolina Panthers, we've got the powerhouse of the Gators, and that's Kyle Pitts. Yeah, he's one of the best players in the draft. I think after Trevor Lawrence and Penei Sewell, he is the most talented player in the draft. He could play anywhere along the line. He could even block the run really well. I think he's just all around a great receiver, tight end player, and having him on your team just makes your offense exponentially better, and will be great to see Darnold work with him and try to get Darnold back on track.
Seriously,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think field the draft.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. Pitt's
Because when
Well,
we
at
were
least
planning out this mock, Pitt fell past the Panthers, and we were looking like the Giants were going to get him. Unfortunately, me and
And it was
Charlie
like,
and it was like, oh, yeah, we got it. Run this back. All right.
But moving on to pick number 9, that's the Denver Broncos. And I think here, I'm not sold on Drew Lock yet, but I've also haven't given up on him yet. I think that quarterback is the wrong move here, especially with the top 4 guys off the board. If Justin Fields or Trey Lance were to drop here, I think it would be a conversation. But I don't see Mac Jones being the pick for the Broncos. I think that Drew Lock, you give him a 3rd year. If he underperforms again, then you think about quarterback next year. But for now, you try to give Drew Lock the best odds he can have, and that's by drafting an offensive tackle. That's Rashawn Slater, the best second best offensive tackle in this draft. I think they need a tackle more than an interior offensive line, which is why I went with Slater over Vera Tucker. I, as you might know, love Vera Tucker, but I think that Slater's a better fit for the Broncos right now. So I just think Slater, I mean, he's an amazing player, no doubt about it. And he'll fit in well with the Broncos offense. He'll help protect Drew Lock. We've seen he's got weapons in Cortland Sutton and Noah Fant and Jerry Jeudy. If they're all healthy, it could be a scary offense if you think about it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
For
100%.
Drew Lock, for me, I completely agree because I'm not a Mac Jones fan. But we were definitely debating, should the Broncos trade up to 4? I think because I mean, if you're trading up to 4, you're giving up a lot of your future. And so I just think if you're Drew Lock, I'm just not convinced with, terrible completion percentage, almost have 50. If you're a quarterback and you have that, I immediately do not like you because it's your job. But I think Mac Jones wouldn't be the pick either.
Yeah, I think with Drew Lock, it's only been 2 years, which is why I'm saying give him 1 more year. With all that offensive talent, if you don't succeed, I think it's time to move on. But moving on to the 10th pick in the draft, you have the Cowboys, and one of the noticeable trends is that there has not been a defensive player on the board. I think with a team like Dallas that has struggled on defense, there will be a defensive player, and it's between 2 cornerbacks. I ended up giving the nod to Patrick Surtain. I feel like he's the more safer pick. He dominated the SEC with all its very, very good wide receivers. is good in press, is good in off coverage. I feel like he's a very safe pick considered to the other option, which we will get into in the next pick, which you might know who it will be. And I think for a team like Dallas, who does not have a good enough secondary yet, I think getting that Alabama tandem with Team Ham and promising former rookie Trayvon Diggs would be very good for a team that is trying to get to the top on the defensive side of the ball.
Now, really quick, Serge, I completely agree with the pick. Patrick Surtain is definitely a pick, but you are underselling Surtain by so much right now. It's unbelievable. He's not the safe pick. Patrick Surtain, you're drafting Patrick Surtain in the hopes that he's ends up being the best corner in the league 6 years down the line. I think that Patrick Surtain has so much talent. I think you just undersold him a little bit. I don't think it's a question between Surtain and whoever else you were talking about. I have no idea who it was.
Really? You
Surtain
don't?
is so well-rounded already,
Yeah.
and bringing him into the league for the Cowboys or wherever he gets drafted and giving him NFL training will just make him that much better of a player, whereas JC Horn's going to need to work on some aspects of his game where Surtain won't already. And that brings me into my next pick, where it's actually the Cardinals trading with the Giants.
There we
The
go, ladies
Cardinals-
and gentlemen.
The
Traded down.
Cardinals take cornerback J.C. Horn out of South Carolina with the 11th overall pick. And I've said this a few times now. He is the Patrick Peterson rebirth after Patrick Peterson leaves. He's fast. He's strong. He's a great open field tackler, and he has flair. He has hunger in a way that we don't see out of many corners. He's chippy, almost like Jalen Ramsey. And I'm really excited to see what he can do in the NFL. Watch our player review if you want really any more info on him. We like him here. We want him to succeed. And seeing him at the Cardinals is the best fit, in my opinion, for him.
Dylan, why don't you get on to the next pick?
Oh, yeah, that's me.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So the 12th overall pick.
Mm.
I had real trouble making myself do this. So
You knew it had to happen.
It's Jalen Waddle for the Eagles, and they need a wide receiver, and it made it a little bit easier knowing that the Eagles screw up every draft, but I had to do it because they have no offensive weapons, and he's highly acclaimed for some reason. And I'm sure these experts know more than I do, so there's probably some upside to him.
Yeah, maybe a little.
Yeah,
But
Maybe a little bit.
Jalen Waddle.
A little bit. He's just
If
okay.
you're watching this, you're not
Because I'm
quite.
sure he is.
You're not quite Steven Sims yet, but
Dylan,
not a
you
big-
hate on a
haven't
lot of
stooped
NFL.
so low for me to refer to you as Steven
Steven
Sims.
Sims.
Dylan, you've hate on a lot of NFL players. There are a lot of people who aren't gonna go out because like, oh, you have Dylan on the channel.
Hey, we should get Jalen Waddle out here.
You have a lot of
Over
enemies.
to Nyack, New York, and 1v1 me.
Okay.
I don't know how well that would go for you. But if we move on to pick
Okay.
14, I remember when we were making this, Kian said to me, wow, you filled that in fast. Because the second Jalen Waddle was off the board, I knew exactly who the Chargers were going to go for this pick. I think that there's no doubt they're going offensive line in this draft. The Chargers have such a good roster to be drafting at pick 13. It's kind of ridiculous. The way Justin Herbert played and the way the entire team played, now they have Derwin James coming back from injury as well. The way this team played to only win 6 games this year, 5 games.
And 2 garbage games.
It was ridiculous. I think that if they had probably a touchdown extra in each of the games they had played, they would have won 11 games. They had a lot of close games. They should not be picking at 13, but they get a steal. I think that the Chargers are getting a pretty big steal here. They're getting their offensive lineman, Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. I think that he's a beast. If you've seen our big board video, he is my number 2 offensive lineman in this draft, ahead of Rashawn Slater. And I just think that the Chargers are getting a gem of a player in Elijah Vera Tucker here.
Now going on to the 14th pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings taking Jalen Phillips, edge from Miami. Speaking of our big board, I have Jalen Phillips as my edge number 1 in this class. I love this guy. He has I say this often, but he has a very good burst. He combines a very good burst with great hand technique, great leverage, has a very good swim move, and can really has a multitude of weapons in his arsenal. And I think that's much more promising than considering all the other edges in this class, which makes him edge number 1 material, with the rumors about maybe Daniil Hunter being on his way out. And I know Dalvin Tomlinson's okay, but I still feel like that edge position could still be very much strengthened. And with a player like Jalen Phillips still available at 14, I think you should definitely pull the trigger on it, even if maybe people don't value Phillips as high as a lot of other people do.
All right, moving on now to the pick that the Falcons traded down with New England Patriots here at 15. We had them go with Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech, someone who I have as, and I think on our complete big board as our offensive tackle 3. This guy is really, really talented, and I think he's going to become an immediate asset on an NFL team. He really just has all the boxes to check: size, length, mobility. He's just really, really good. Very good ability to pull and connect to his targets when zone blocking. And I think when you're looking at Darrisaw and then you look at the Falcons offensive line, I think he fits in immediately. They need that pure blindside blocker for Matt Ryan. And I've said it, I don't think they need a weapon for him yet. Again, if somehow Julio's traded before the draft, then maybe you look at receiver. But I think offensive line needs to be addressed. And I think Darrisaw is very, very talented. And it is really a plug and play. I think he's ready now. Played as a true freshman for the Hokies. So I think he'll be a very, very good player. Moving on now to the Giants pick that me and Charlie traded down with the Arizona Cardinals, where they took JC Horn. So we are here at pick 16. We had them go Micah Parsons out of Penn State. I think this guy, for as much as we've kind of not hated on him, but kind of been like Koromo is our number 1. I think Parsons,
not me.
Yeah, I think Parsons has a lot of raw ability. Kind of a sideline to sideline linebacker. And I guess questions kind of I've said is I don't think he consistently pass rush and kind of cover, but I think the Giants defense, what they have here, he can actually be used very well, which is why I really like this pick. And I think something where Charlie, I think you can agree, if he was there at 11, they took him, I would have no question. So trading down and getting more value, I think makes all the sense. This guy will be really talented. We kind of need a man on that 7-man front. And I think Micah Parsons can do it very, very well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that I would have been happy with the Giants taking Micah Parsons at pick 11. I love the Micah Parsons pick. I think he's a very, very good player with a lot of potential. And the fact that they trade down to 16 and get him, and that trade up from 16-11, since this class is so deep and so talented, I think that could honestly be pick 16 plus potentially a first-round pick next year. So if we were able to get 2 first-round picks and still get the same player that we were hoping for, I think that's just, why not do that?
That's called a Brian Flores move.
That's called being smart. But if we want to move on to pick 17, that's the Las Vegas Raiders. I think that right now defense has to be the pick. I think that the Raiders are not, I feel like looking at their roster, they're not one of the better teams in the NFL. We've seen they're okay record-wise in terms of performance, but roster, they have a lot of holes to fill. And I think that Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia could fill one of those holes as an edge rusher. I think they need to get to the quarterback more. And I think guys like Max Crosby are just not getting it done for them. And we saw they drafted Cleveland Farrell, I believe, 2 years ago. I don't think I've heard his name once in those 2 years. So I think
he's actually quietly been pretty good.
No
One's really thinking
about it. Dylan, don't even say that. He was drafted before the other John Challen.
Where he was drafted,
Don't even.
Dylan, he has not been.
Cleveland Farrell has had 6.5 sacks in 2 years.
Dylan,
that's amazing.
Quietly been okay. I'll rephrase.
No.
That's like saying Tua's been good. Like we all know it's not true.
Okay, that's different. Okay, but anyway.
So I think Azeez Ojulari has to be the pick here. They need that pass rusher, and I think Azeez Ojulari, he's a good player. He's a very talented player, so I think he's the pick.
Now we have another trade with the Dolphins that we are trading this pick to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, so I traded up here, and we finished the mock, and then I was like, wait a minute. The Ravens, I think, are very likely to trade up for who I ended up taking, Rashad Bateman. If you guys have been watching our content, you know how much I love this guy. I think this guy is going to be the best receiver in this class. I'm going to continue to say this guy really has no holes on tape. He can do intermediate routes. He can do deep routes. He has the frame. He has the yak. He has the run after catch. I think this guy's going to be very, very talented. And I think Bateman just checks all the boxes for me. Tall guy, can really go up and get the ball. Very, very good in the red zone. Someone who's actually a really, really underrated route runner, kind of getting off the line and getting, fade routes to the red zone. I think Lamar is going to have a ton of fun with him and Marquise Brown. I think this guy's incredibly talented, and watch him in a couple years be a really, really good receiver.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rashad Bateman's easily the pick there. I think especially Rashad Bateman because of the way he plays compared to Marquise Brown. I think at one point you drafted, Kadarius Toney to the Ravens later on. I think early on, but I think the problem with that pick, although Toney is a great receiver, he's just too similar of a receiver to Marquise Brown.
Exactly.
And I think that's why you grab Rashad Bateman. He just contrasts Marquise Brown. He's a guy who can go up and get the ball. I think that's a good pick for the Ravens. Possibly a trade up worthy pick. He could fall to them though at 27, 28? 27.
Yeah, because they have two. All right, let's move on now to the Washington football team. And guys, just so you know that I'm picking twice just because of trades. So we're just going in the order of that. Washington football team, as much as I hate to say it, Mac Jones out of Alabama, Mr. Overrated. I think this pick and what I liked about this pick is it made sense. This Washington offense, coaching staff, defense fits what Mac Jones had and how he, had his hand held at Alabama due to all the talent he had around him. They have good receivers. They just brought in Curtis Samuel. They have a good running back who emerged last year, an amazing defense, probably the best defensive line, or no, not probably the best defensive line last year, a really, really good secondary that can be improved in the second round, an amazing coach. And I think Mac Jones can do well. I'm not saying he'll be a bad, no, I am, but I think this guy, for as much as we hate, he has good arm talent. He has throwing power. And I think for what it's worth, he can be successful in Washington.
Well,
yeah,
I think mostly you are praising the Washington football team a little bit too much.
I really like the Mac Jones pick there. I think it makes all too much sense there. They do need a quarterback because they did re-sign Taylor Heineke, who played well in the playoffs. But
Bucks.
if that doesn't go well, then they need a backup plan. And right now they don't have one. So Mac Jones makes sense there. But moving on to pick 20, the Chicago Bears. I think what happened with it, what's with their quarterback situation? Who's their starting quarterback anymore? Nobody knows. But I think whoever it may be, clearly their quarterback situation has not worked in the past. Oh God, how long has it been since they've had a quarterback? It's been way too long. So they need to try to find a consistent quarterback, and they'll try to help it along by drafting an offensive tackle here. Tevin Jenkins. This class is deep. He's a very, very good blocker out of Oklahoma State. I think you can't really go wrong right now with Tevin Jenkins. I think he's been climbing up on boards a lot. I didn't really know who he was when we started looking at mock drafts, but now possibly OT4, maybe OT5. But I think he's a really great player, and he's the right pick for the Bears.
Yeah, he's a mean dude. I think this guy possesses a ton of power at the end of the blocks. All right, Charlie, you're next with the Colts.
Oh, God, again. Okay, so the Colts here, I think the Colts, we've seen their offense lacked. Their defense was really good last year, but I think their defense, again, roster-wise, same with the Raiders, was not as good as their record. I think that a lot of the players were just players that they can have for a year, and they had good years, like Xavier Rhodes. He won't repeat how he played last year. So I think cornerback is the right pick here. And I think this guy's dropped way too much. Guys know I love him. Caleb Farley. He's my CB2 on my big board out of Virginia Tech. I think the raw talent that he has, he is so fast and so big that, if he can stay injury free and if he doesn't just skip out on a year and some practices, he could be a top corner. I think he ran unofficially like a 4.28 40-yard dash. I think that this is a great pick for him. I think this is a steal, falling way too far.
With the 22nd pick, you have the Cleveland Browns trading up with the Tennessee Titans to select Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. Now, I know the Browns did get Anthony Walker in free agency, but I think they still need that consistent guy who could be Mike linebacker and a will linebacker. And I think that's how Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah plays. He's a fast linebacker who can play good in soft zone coverage as well as nickel and man coverage. I think he's just that consistent all-around linebacker. And for the Cleveland to be getting him at 22 just solidifies how they're just completely rebuilding their defense in the right way.
All right, so I had the Jets pick at 23. This, I think, is a pick that could maybe even be trading up to take your guy, Caleb Farley, but I'm sticking on that train and getting Greg Newsome out of Northwestern. I think all I'm going to say, what I said when we were talking about the mock draft, I think the Raiders game was very telling of what this secondary needs. Lamar Jackson, the knockoff one, doesn't do much. And I think this guy, Greg Newsome, could be the one of the, I think all the top 4 corners all have potential to be the best in the class. This guy is so talented, very, very good man. Cover 3 beast, zone coverage, flexibility. I think he can do it all from Northwestern. If you guys saw from our big board video, we had him as our cornerback 3. I have him as we had our cornerback 4. I have him as my cornerback 3. I think this guy can be very, very talented.
At 24 overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I have seen too many people saying it's locked in, it's Najee Harris, or even saying it's Javonte Williams. They don't go running back here. They're going to go offensive tackle, and that's Dylan Raduns from North Dakota State. Dylan Raduns, standing at 6'6", 23 years old, great pass blocker, is going to protect Big Ben or Mason Rudolph or Josh Dobbs, because I
don't forget about Dwayne Haskins.
Oh, yeah, Dwayne Haskins, the one quarterback that broke my 3-year rule. Yeah, so they're going to need Raduns to help shore up an aging offensive line, and I like that pick more than a running back because the line is more important than the running back, as we have figured out in the last 3 years.
At pick 25, I get another Jaguars pick. Yay! I don't like the Jaguars at all. They're not my favorite team. I don't know why I ended up with all the Jaguars picks, but again, they drafted Trevor Lawrence at pick 1. That wasn't debatable. Now, this pick could be debatable as to which player they're going, but which position they're going, not so much. They obviously need to go offensive line because Trevor Lawrence needs protecting. He's got weapons. The defense is good enough. I think offensive line needs some help, and it's the Alabama tackle, Alex Leatherwood. I think he's a great player. I think he could be going even higher than this, but then again, he could drop. There are so many good tackles in this class. You just never know. But I think Alex Leatherwood, tackle's definitely the right pick. Doesn't really matter who you pick, but I think Alex Leatherwood's the best option here.
Yeah, I think so. Now you have the Tennessee Titans at 26. I think they're probably upset because they're 2 best options. The options that we're maybe thinking could fall to 26 here were Caleb Farley and Greg Newsome, but they both fall off the board. There are a couple corners that also could be picked, maybe Sante Samuel or Ifeatu Melifonwu, but I think maybe go for your second option, a wide receiver. Terrace Marshall for me is the best one available. He's again very decent speed. He has good route running, very good hands, a physical outside wide receiver. And I think with the loss of Corey Davis and free agency to my Jets, I now as an outside get another outside wide receiver for Ryan Tannehill, especially with the loss of Corey Davis. And I think this is a solid pick for the Titans. Can't go wrong with that. Oh, we did have and now going back to the Dolphins Ravens trade, I have the Dolphins at 27 taking Najee Harris. I think the Dolphins, this is again classic Flores-esque move, Will Grier move to really trade down in the draft and still get the player that probably would have been at value for the pick you were formerly taking. So the Dolphins just keep on accumulating pick and still getting the player that they ultimately wanted in the end. You get Tua more and more help. I know you already got Sewell at 6, and now you get another, in my opinion, top 20 player in Najee Harris. And I think he provides great, obviously, downhill running abilities and can catch out of the backfield. So double win for the Dolphins here.
Yeah.
Javonte Williams is better.
That's just false.
At the 28th overall pick to the New Orleans Saints, you see a team that last season had no receivers of real notice because Michael Thomas was off the face of the earth. Now this year, they're going to be hoping he exists again, but this year without Breeze. So bringing in another receiver is vital to Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston or Kyle Trask or whoever.
Please God, not Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
So
I don't know why they would even pick him over Winston. Winston's not great, but
That's for
He's
another
the
video.
starting
Buster
quarterback.
Boom video.
Rondell Moore,
Yeah.
a good inside receiver who I could see eventually lining up outside, not this season, but eventually I could see it happening. Him to pair up with Michael Thomas. Hopefully Michael Thomas is alive again. And just to provide options for whatever lacking QB they're going to have. And honestly, my honest opinion, this team is going to really struggle this year if they don't fix their stuff up. So that other than that, though, Rondell Moore seems the wisest pick to just provide options.
Yeah, I agree. I think now if we move on to the Bills pick at 29, we saw how scary this Bills offense was this season with Josh Allen at the helm, and Stephon Diggs was a beast. Why not just add another dimension? The one thing that the Bills offense didn't have, which we saw towards the end, they kind of needed because they didn't win it all. Their offense was so scary, but they didn't win it all. And if you add one more dimension and draft Travis Etienne, who's also a very good pass catching back, it adds just a different side to the Bills offense. They now have the threat of lining up with Etienne in the backfield, and when Singletary or Moss was in the backfield, no offense to any of the Bills fans, but there just was no threat of the run, because even if the defense is lined up with only 5 players in the box, they would still only get 2 or 3 yards. They just weren't good enough in that offense, even though they are first and second year players. I don't think you should give up on them completely yet, but Travis Etienne, a really exciting running back prospect out of Clemson. The threat of having him both in the run game and in the pass game alongside Josh Allen, I think it's just too much to pass up on.
Lower the target share to Stephon Diggs a little bit. Just a little.
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Now going on
I think
to
he
the
could be
30th
okay.
pick, you have the Green Bay Packers, and I think this, again, a great value pick, and it fills the position of need. Christian Barmore of Alabama at interior defensive line for the Packers. I think interior defensive line, you do have Kenny Clark, but you still need a player that can be a very good pass rusher on first and second down, but also can, more importantly, stop the run for Green Bay. We know we have Clark, but you don't really have that second interior defensive lineman, especially in a 4-3 front. And I think that's what Christian Barmore provides, especially falling late in the first round. I think this is a great value pick for the Packers. And the window is starting to close on their maybe Super Bowl chances. So if they want to, they need to take the best player available that can be a plug and play. And I think that's Barmore.
Yeah, and I think just quick, I think the misconception is it should be receiver, which I've kind of fallen into, but they've been able to score. I think the defense has been the question mark.
Yeah, and with the last pick in the first round of this draft, it's been traded from the Buccaneers into the second round to the Bengals to the first round, and it's Liam Eisenberg, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. And to be honest, he was probably the only piece of that offense that is first or second round worthy in this draft. He's the reason Ian Book didn't get flattened all year.
Although Ian Book isn't that good.
Yeah, he can't get out of the rush. And Liam Eisenberg really helped him, and I think that might be undersold a little bit, and I think he might be even better than Leatherwood, in my opinion. So I think the Bengals will get an absolute steal here, and it'll make up for them not taking Sewell, which they definitely should have done. Penny Sewell's the second best player.
This is exactly why I took Jamar Chase.
All right.
Liam Eisenberg.
Anticipatory of the Bengals.
And that's going to wrap up our first round mock draft, our final first round mock draft for the 2021 draft. It's been a ride, guys. We started this midway through the season, these mock drafts. We put out a lot of them. You guys loved them. So it's really great to see that all of our effort has paid off and we've gotten a lot out of it. We want to thank the fans especially for this, and hopefully you guys can really enjoy this. We put a lot of effort into this one also, and it's going to be fun to see how accurate we've been over the time. I went from my first mock draft where I had some unthinkable things to actually learning about college football, and it's been a great journey for me and all of us along the way. And it would have been nothing without you guys. Thanks to the fans. Thank you everyone for watching these.
Thank Dylan Shalom.
Come back.
Yeah, and As well, make sure you guys tune in on draft night. You guys know we are doing a live stream. So make sure you tune in to that. If you're not following us on Instagram, didn't get the news, 7:45 p.m. Eastern time, 6:45 p.m. Central time, and 4:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure to come tune in, go to the live chat, say what's up. We'll have some guests on as well. We'll be hopefully hopefully be watching the first round. So make sure you guys come tune in, and we will see you in the next video.